Hi guys, and welcome to another Terrabad Studios guide. My name is Floss, and today I will be taking you through my favorite heroic, the Seige of Nuizao Temple. Let's get started. The first boss you will face is Vizier Jinbok. This boss has two abilities of note. The first of these is Sap Puddle, which is a giant yellow puddle in the middle of the room. This puddle will continue to grow until it almost completely covers the room, or until he uses his second ability, which is Detonate. He will attempt to detonate the sap puddle on the ground, inflicting damage based on the size of the puddle. How we countered this mechanic was to sit one of our ranged casters inside near the center of the puddle, which keeps the puddle from growing. However, the person who is absorbing the puddle will get stacks of sap residue, which will inflict 4,000 nature damage per stack to that player. Make sure the healer knows who is absorbing the stacks. Another ability he will use to increase the size of the puddle is Summon Sap Oozes. He will summon 3 ads that will crawl to the center of the puddle. If they make it to the center, the puddle will grow, increasing the stacks of sap residue on the person absorbing the puddle. Killing these ads is easy, yet it's not the end of the world if they don't die. One last thing, when the boss goes to detonate the puddle, make sure to have all your group members run to the outer edges of the room to take less damage from the explosion. The second boss you will face is Commander Vojak. This encounter is more like a tower defense game than an actual boss fight. You will come to an edge overlooking an army of Mantid, led by Vojak. Once the encounter is started, Vojak will send waves of ads up the ramp until he runs out of soldiers. How you counter this mechanic is to throw the bombs that Lee and Lo put down onto the ramp. These bombs will deal damage over time to the ads running up the ramp, as well as putting a stacking debuff on them, increasing the damage they receive. There are 4 kinds of ads. The first is the basic infantrymen or swarmers, which are easy to kill as long as they run through plenty of bombs before reaching the top. The second is the demolisher. The demolishers carry bombs on their hands that will explode if they receive any direct hit by the player. Make sure to have a dedicated ranged attacker to focus these ads when they are climbing the ramp. The third ad is the Amber Wing. This ad will swoop down onto the ramp a few times during this fight. You can ignore this ad altogether if you aren't going for the achievement. Just make sure to avoid the bombs he throws onto the ground. The last ad is the Warrior. Vojak will summon 2 warriors during this fight. The warriors are just like the swarmers, just a lot bigger and a lot stronger. Make sure they run through plenty of bombs before reaching the top, then simply DPS them down. Once Vojak runs out of soldiers, he will join the fight. Once he reaches the top, he will have one basic move to watch out for, which is Thousand Blades. Thousand Blades is a whirlwind ability that deals massive damage to people standing around him. Make sure to avoid this AoE and you should have no trouble finishing him off. The third boss you will face is General Pavalok. Pavalok has 3 mechanics to overcome during this fight. The first 2 mechanics are very simple, and the first of these is Blade Rush. Pavalok will lock on to one of the players and prepare to charge. The player must simply move out of the way before Pavalok reaches them. The second ability is Tempest, which deals 100,000 nature damage to all players. It also absorbs the next 30,000 healing the player receives. This may seem like a lot of damage for new healers, however he will only cast his ability a few times during the fight. The last mechanic is a tricky one. Twice during the fight, both at 65 and 35% health, Pavalok will shield himself, making him immune to all damage. During this phase he will summon ads as well as drop bombs from the sky. These bombs are the secret to this phase. Each bomb can be picked up with a set amount of time. The bombs can be thrown at ads as well as the boss, increasing the damage he will take when he comes out of his shield. Make sure not to stand by the bombs for too long because they will lock up and explode, dealing 200,000 fire damage to the player. However, when you throw the bomb, it will deal no damage to friendly players. Our basic strategy for this was to have our tank pick up the ads and keep them under the shield. Then we threw bombs at the ads and the boss, increasing the damage the boss would receive. Get this mechanic down and you should have no trouble defeating Pavalok. The last boss you will face is Wing Leader Neronok. This boss is much easier than Pavalok, and there are 3 basic things you should know going into this fight. The first is his ability to throw down puddles, which inflicts 20,000 nature damage every second and decreases movement speed by 50% while standing in it. The second ability of note is Quick Dry Resin. This ability will freeze the player after 6 seconds. However, any movement will counter this ability, and the player simply needs to jump around or strafe left or right for a few seconds. His last ability is Treacherous Winds. Neronok will lift off the platform twice during the fight and fly to the other side. Once he lands, he will begin casting Gusting Wind, which will push the players back away from Neronok. The group must simply run to the other side of the bridge and interrupt this ability. This fight is very easy, and as long as you get past the 3rd boss, you should easily clear this dungeon. Thank you for watching this Terrabad Studios guide. I hope this has helped, and make sure to stick around for more heroic guides as well as raid and PvP guides coming very soon. I'll see y'all next time.